The Eight Immortals Travel East Chapter 31.
Usually when we think about enlightenment, there's this expectation of total serenity. You picture this calm, glassy lake.
Right, the classic image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea is that you meditate on a mountaintop for 1,000 years, you shed your mortal flaws, and you just exist in this state of pure, detached wisdom.
Right, completely above it all,
Yeah.
untethered from all that messy human drama.
Yeah.
I mean, that is certainly the promotional brochure for ascending to immortality.
Yeah, but then you actually open up the classic mythological text, you look at the source material, and suddenly that serene lake is, well, it's full of snapping turtles.
It really is. It gets vicious.
It does. We're looking at a divine landscape that is built on incredibly petty grievances, and we are unpacking an excerpt from chapter 31 of the classic Chinese mythological text, Journey to the East, or Dongyuji.
Which is such a rich text.
Oh, absolutely. And our goal today is to explore a story about destiny, bruised egos, and a secret magical plot that honestly feels way less like ancient mythology and a lot more like modern office politics.
It really serves as a perfect case study. Like, it shows how even divine beings can become incredibly vindictive when their pride is wounded.
Yeah.
We are examining a snapshot of superhuman nature that is remarkably recognizable to anyone who has ever just had a really bad day at work.
Totally. So we are jumping right into the middle of this major celestial conflict. We meet the immortal Dongbin immediately after a highly frustrating, incredibly tense encounter with his master, Zhongli.
Right. The tension is palpable.
It is. Dongbin is basically pacing the room, spiritually speaking. Master Zhongli has just left, leaving Dongbin completely alone to just stew over some very harsh, very personal criticism.
Extremely personal.
Yeah, his master essentially accused Dongbin of being obsessed with wine and women.
Which is just a devastating accusation within the context of Taoist immortality.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, because Master Zhongli is claiming that this behavior makes the other immortals view Dongbin as lacking in fundamental discipline.
Ah, I see.
Right? In this hierarchy, your standing isn't just about how much magical power you have. It's heavily tied to your purity and, how well you have shed your earthly desires.
So it's a status thing.
Exactly. Zhongli's basically telling him that he is a joke to the rest of the pantheon because he just cannot control his human vices.
Yeah.
The humiliation here is profound.
Right.
Because it strikes right at the core of Dongbin's identity as an enlightened being.
And the thing is, Zhongli didn't even stop at personal insults. He pivoted to these huge geopolitical predictions.
He did.
The master confidently predicted that the dragon ancestor, which in this text represents the Song dynasty, will inevitably defeat Empress Shao in this upcoming mortal war.
Right.
And the reason he gives isn't like military strategy or troop numbers or terrain. It is predetermined fate. He relies on this concept called Kishu.
Yes, Kishu. And to really grasp the weight of this argument, we have to unpack what Kishu actually means in this universe.
Please do, because it sounds intense.
It is. It translates roughly to the destiny of the vital breath or fated calculation. It is not just some vague sense of destiny.
Okay.
In this mythological framework, the universe operates on these cosmic cycles. It's almost like a mathematical algorithm.
Yeah.
Every dynasty, every empire has a specific predetermined lifespan that is dictated by heaven.
So it's basically hard-coded into the universe.
Exactly. So Zhongli is asserting that the Song dynasty holds the mandate, the Kishu, and therefore their victory is just an unshakable mathematical certainty. It's written into the fabric of the universe.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where the psychology gets so interesting to me.
Yeah.
We have this immortal, Dongbin, who has just been insulted on two fronts. His personal character has been totally attacked, and his master has smugly laid out the absolute infallible future of the mortal world based on this cosmic algorithm. So Dongbin decides to rebel. And his internal monologue outlines 3 distinct goals for this secret operation he's planning.
He's a whole checklist.
He really does. First, he wants to prove that this Kishu, this supposedly infallible fate, isn't actually reliable.
Right.
Second, he wants to prove that his vices, the wine and the women, don't actually hinder his divine abilities at all.
Yeah, that's the ego talking.
Totally. And third, he just wants to completely silence his master and stop the other immortals from mocking him.
It is a profound overcompensation mechanism.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Dongbin is attempting to dismantle the fundamental laws of the universe just to win an argument.
It's wild.
It is. The traditional orthodox view represented by Master Zhongli is that the mandate of heaven is supreme. But Dongbin introduces this chaotic, disruptive element of free will.
Right.
He's deliberately choosing to act against the cosmic order, and he's using his agency for incredibly personal, petty reasons.
Reading his thought process, I couldn't help but picture Dongbin as this, like, brilliant but deeply rebellious employee who was just publicly dressed down by a micromanager boss.
That is a great way to look at it.
Right, like the boss embarrasses him in front of the whole department, claiming his lifestyle outside of work is ruining his performance. And then the boss smugly lays out the company's infallible 5-year forecast.
Yeah.
So what does the employee do? He doesn't go home and reflect on the feedback. He immediately decides to launch a secret, rogue, off-the-books project just to sabotage that 5-year forecast and prove the boss entirely wrong.
What's fascinating here is how Dongbin's motivations completely lack any moral or philosophical high ground.
None at all.
Zero. Look at the stakes of his planned rebellion. He is talking about manipulating the fate of entire nations. He wants to shift the balance of a massive, bloody war.
Yeah, real people are going to die.
Exactly. He is willing to alter the course of history and cause untold destruction in the mortal realm purely to save face at the celestial water cooler.
It's honestly a little terrifying.
It forces you to rethink the whole concept of divine intervention within these myths. The gods aren't intervening for the greater good. They are intervening to settle a score.
So Dongbin has his motive. He wants to disrupt the war between the Song dynasty and Empress Shao by making Empress Shao stronger so she wins.
Right, he needs to flip the outcome.
Exactly, which would completely invalidate the Qi Shu prediction. But the text explicitly states that he wants to, quote, cover people's ears and eyes.
He needs to be sneaky about it.
Right. He wants plausible deniability, which means he can't just march down to the battlefield himself. If he does that, his master catches him immediately.
Without a doubt.
So he needs a proxy. He needs someone to do the heavy lifting while he remains completely in the shadows.
Because the mechanics of celestial surveillance require him to be incredibly careful.
How does that work?
Well, the immortals are basically always watching each other. If Dongbin directly unleashes his power to crush the Song army, the celestial bureaucracy will trace that magical signature right back to him.
Like a digital footprint?
Precisely. So he needs an intermediary. Someone whose presence on a mortal battlefield wouldn't immediately trigger alarm bells among the upper pantheon.
And to find this proxy, Dongbin looks toward the foot of Bilio Mountain. He targets this 10,000-year-old Toon Tree spirit.
Right, the Chenjing.
Yeah, the original text calls it a Chenjing. So he has an immortal boy go out and summon this ancient tree spirit. And when the spirit arrives, Dongbin just completely turns on the charm.
Oh, he really lays it on thick.
He does. He heavily flatters the spirit. He praises its incredibly long existence, its divine powers, and its ability to cause fortune and misfortune in the world.
We should probably clarify what a tree spirit represents in this mythological ecosystem because it's important context.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Taoist animism, all things can absorb the essence of the sun, the moon, yin, and yang over time. So a Toon Tree that has survived for 10,000 years hasn't just grown tall. It has absorbed 10 millennia of cosmic energy.
Wow, that's a lot of energy.
It is. It gains sentience, mobility, and this localized magical power. However, it is still an earthbound spirit.
Right.
It is nowhere near the hierarchical level of an ascended immortal like Dongbin.
Okay, so there's a massive power gap.
Huge. So when an immortal of Dongbin's stature summons this earthbound spirit and just showers it with praise, it is this overwhelming validation for the creature. Dongbin is essentially weaponizing the spirit's vanity.
It is a textbook bait and switch.
Yeah.
Because the tree spirit is so honored to be in the presence of an immortal that it boldly declares it won't avoid water, fire, axes, or halberds to serve him.
It's a total blank check of loyalty.
It really is. But then Dongbin drops the actual mission. He tells the spirit to go down to the mortal realm, join the war, and help Empress Shao defeat the Song Emperor.
Yeah, that changes things.
Seriously, I found myself stopping at this part of the text and just questioning Dongbin's whole enlightened persona. I mean, he's supposed to be this divine being of high standing, yet he is manipulating a lesser spirit, dragging it into a massive mortal war, and using it as a disposable pawn just to settle a bet with his teacher. Isn't he being incredibly hypocritical here?
Oh, the manipulation is entirely cynical. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And what is really brilliant about the writing here is that the tree spirit immediately senses the danger.
Oh, it knows.
Yeah, the spirit's hesitation highlights the exact theological boundary that Dongbin is trying to cross.
How so?
The spirit points out that causing normal everyday fortune and misfortune for like a local farmer or a merchant, that is one thing. That is entirely within the purview of an earthbound spirit.
Right, that's its normal job.
Exactly. But a mortal war between empires, that involves the mandate of heaven. That involves the very destiny of the world.
The spirit realizes this is just way above its pay grade.
Way above.
It's funny, the 10,000-year-old tree actually has more common sense and respect for the cosmic order than the supposedly enlightened immortal.
It really does.
It tries to hand back the blank check, basically saying that its magic is far too shallow to usurp the power of creation and alter destiny itself. It literally tries to decline the mission outright.
Because the tree recognizes the immense danger of overstepping its bounds. Tampering with the key shoe of an empire isn't just a political act in this world. It is an act of cosmic treason.
Cosmic treason?
Yeah. The spirit knows that if a lesser being messes with the mandate of heaven, the celestial bureaucracy will retaliate with overwhelming force. The punishment for that kind of disruption would be total annihilation of the spirit's soul.
So it's literally risking everything. But Dongbin, he refuses to take no for an answer. His ego is on the line, and Master Zhongli's smug prediction is just ringing in his ears.
He cannot let it go.
No, he can't.
Yeah.
Because the spirit tries to back out, Dongbin is forced to up the ante. He has to provide the spirit with the tools to do the impossible. And more importantly, he has to offer the ultimate bribe to overcome the spirit's terror. He reassures the panicked tree spirit by offering it a legendary, highly coveted text, the 6Jia military manual, or Lujia Bingshu.
Now, this manual is a critical artifact in Taoist mythology. It isn't just a book of troop formations or basic strategy.
Right, it's way more than that.
It is a profound grimoire. It's divided into 3 distinct volumes, and each one represents a deeper layer of cosmic understanding and power.
The structure of this manual is honestly the key to understanding Dongbin's strategy. The top volume covers astronomy. The middle volume covers Taoist transformations, and the bottom volume covers yin-yang, soul-bewildering, and demonic evasion.
Which essentially amounts to dark magic and illusions.
Right.
And the progression of those 3 volumes is very intentional. Astronomy, the top volume, is about reading the cosmic source code. It is understanding the mind of heaven, how the stars align, and how destiny flows.
So it's the big picture.
Yes. Then the middle volume, Taoist transformations, is about internal alchemy. It teaches the practitioner how to elevate their own spirit, purify their vessel, and really align themselves with those cosmic laws they learned in the first volume.
Okay, so you learn the rules, then you purify yourself.
Exactly. And only after understanding the universe and purifying the self are you supposed to even access the bottom volume. That final volume contains the tactical applications.
The dangerous stuff.
Right. Manipulating the material and spiritual world, creating fog, summoning phantom soldiers, and breaking the psychological state of an enemy army.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Dongbin offers the spirit this wildly dangerous shortcut. He tells the tree spirit that it doesn't even need to look at the top 2 volumes.
Now skip them completely.
Yeah, he tells it to skip the astronomy and skip the spiritual transformation. He instructs the spirit to only master the bottom volume, promising that the dark arts and illusions will be more than enough to defeat the Song army.
So right.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to sweeten the deal, Dongbin promises that if the spirit is successful, he will personally bring it into true immortality.
Which is the ultimate carrot dangling on a highly volatile stick.
Right.
True immortality is the absolute pinnacle of existence for a lesser spirit. It means finally escaping the cycle of earthly tribulation.
So it's everything the tree could ever want.
Yes. But the shortcut Dongbin offers is incredibly malicious. He is intentionally suppressing the spirit's philosophical development.
How do you mean?
Well, if the spirit actually learned the astronomy volume, it would see the cosmic algorithms for itself. It would see that the Song dynasty truly does hold the mandate of heaven.
Oh.
Yeah, and it would realize that Dongbin's plan is just an artificial, ego-driven disruption.
Oh, wow. So he's keeping the spirit in the dark on purpose. The analogy that jumps to my mind is like handing someone the launch codes to a nuclear arsenal, but only teaching them the darkest, dirtiest tactical tricks for turning the key.
That is exactly it.
You are deliberately skipping all the actual science, the ethics, and the strategic philosophy that's required to handle that kind of power safely.
Right.
Dongbin is basically handing a loaded cosmic weapon to an earthbound spirit, skipping the gun safety course entirely and just saying, point it at my enemies, pull the trigger, and I'll make you a god.
That framing perfectly captures how desperate and reckless Dongbin has become. And this raises an important question about the nature of power in these myths.
Yeah.
Dongbin is actively willing to unleash soul-bewildering dark magic on a mortal battlefield. He's willing to cause terror and psychological ruin among human soldiers simply to construct a roadblock against heaven's mandate.
It's awful.
It is. And he orchestrates this entire scheme while remaining entirely insulated from the consequences himself.
Right, he builds this completely asymmetrical alignment of risk. He wants all the reward of proving his master wrong with absolutely zero of the celestial blowback. Because if the plan works, Dongbin can casually reveal his masterminding and gloat to his teacher. But if the plan fails, the celestial bureaucracy will just find a rogue Toon Tree spirit utilizing forbidden magic on a battlefield.
And the spirit will take the full force of the punishment.
Right, Dongbin can just disavow the whole thing. He can just be like, I have no idea who that tree is.
The tragedy of this interaction is that the tree spirit is actually acutely aware of this dynamic.
It knows it's being used.
Yes. Even with the promise of true immortality glittering right in front of it, the spirit remains terrified. It admits to Dongbin that it feels stupid, that the manual's magic is far too profound for a mere tree, and that it fears being quickly exposed by the heavenly forces.
It knows it's being set up as the fall guy.
It absolutely knows.
So to close the deal, Dongbin has to offer one final reassurance. He promises the spirit that it will not be acting alone out there.
He has to hold its hand.
Basically, Dongbin vows to secretly descend to the mortal realm alongside the spirit. He promises to hide in the shadows and actively guide the battle formations and manage the illusions.
Right.
He promises to be the invisible hand on the steering wheel, just to ensure the spirit doesn't fail.
And in doing so, Dongbin transforms into a micromanager. He mirrors the exact behavior of the master he is currently rebelling against. He just cannot let go of control.
The irony is so thick he could cut it with a sword. But this final promise, it works. Convinced that an immortal will be there to catch it if it falls, the spirit finally agrees to this treasonous plot.
It gives in.
It yells out, transforms into a beam of golden light, and departs Billuo Mountain to answer Empress Xiao's recruitment poster. The proxy is in place, and the Shadow War has officially begun.
The wheels of a massive historical conflict are completely derailed.
Right.
And it's all because an immortal couldn't handle some constructive criticism about his drinking habits.
It is phenomenal storytelling.